Today we will first take up the subject of self-respect versus arrogance. And Baba tells that arrogance, to sit on the seat of arrogance, is to sit on the seat of thorns. And would you choose to sit on a seat of thorns? So a seat of thorns is never comfortable. So Baba has told us that the seat of arrogance is like a seat of thorns, and the seat of self-respect is where you can experience being constantly happy, elevated, and an embodiment of all attainments. So what is the seat of self-respect and what is the seat of arrogance? So when Baba says that sitting on the seat of arrogance, it means that you are laying the foundation of your worthiness on what you have and what you do. So you feel worthy because of what you have and what you do in this physical world. So every soul has, body, possessions, things, relationships, labels, titles. So if you position your sense of self-worth on these factors, then it is called arrogance. And the word arrogance means, it doesn't have that much of clarity when we use this word in the world, because only when somebody flaunts whatever they have, then we say he's arrogant or she's arrogant. But Baba says, even if you don't flaunt it, but if the foundation of your sense of self-worth, so every soul needs a sense of self-worth. I need to feel worthy. I need to feel I'm valuable or I matter. And where does that sense of self-worth come from? So usually it comes from, that I have a great body, I'm beautiful, or I can work, or I can do things, or I have this skill, this specialization, or I'm educated, or I'm qualified, or I have so much of possessions and money, or I have great contacts, or this is how we determine our self-worth in the world. So mostly the sense of worthiness is kind of a cumulative total of whatever you possess in the external world. And Baba says that is like, if you position your sense of self-worth in that manner, which Baba defines as arrogance, then you are like sitting on a seat of thorns. And when you sit on a seat of thorns, then those thorns will constantly prick you. Yes, so similarly, any soul who is sitting on the seat of arrogance will constantly feel insulted, or constantly feel a sense of loss, or constantly feel disrespected whenever somebody is not holding them in a high and mighty position and behaving them with an expected behavior which you think you are entitled to because of your attainments and your position. So that seat of arrogance is a very vulnerable seat. Let's take for example that I feel that I am the boss, and because I am the boss, that is my achievement, and I matter, and I am great because I am the boss. But do you know that because I am the boss and I think that there are 200 employees who are working for me, then those 200 employees, each one has the power to make me feel insulted. Because if one of them doesn't behave well with me, or one of them doesn't say good morning or namaste to me, then I can feel very insulted. So if you have 200 employees, then you have 200 possibilities of feeling insulted every day. But Baba says it's not like you don't have to be in a position or something or give up that. Baba says you be in this world, do everything, attain everything. You should operate at your maximum potential. But don't think that your sense of self-worth is based on that. Yes, so you don't matter because of what you have or what you do. You matter even if that's a different combination, or even if something is replaced by something, or even if everything is taken away, you will still matter. And Baba says that sense that I matter despite everything, that is what Baba calls self-respect. And who is that I who matters despite everything? So the one who matters despite everything is your spiritual sense, it's in the sense that you are a soul. And why are you a worthy soul? Because every soul is special, virtuous, and master almighty. So Baba says there are 3 things which every soul has. So as a soul, it is not possible that I have no specialities. So I definitely have my specialities as a soul. I may not be very good at what I do, but I am a being of light, purity, peace, love, and even that sense of being is my speciality. And you can do a lot, you can even learn, and you can do whatever you want if you have that base. So Baba says even if you don't know how to do something, if you know how to be, that's special enough. And if you are a powerful being seated in your self-respect, then you can learn and do anything you want. So even if I don't know how to do anything today, I can learn and do it. So Baba says that spiritual self that I am is full of specialities. So I have so many qualities as a soul. I have diligence, I have dedication, I have honesty. So these specialities are my treasures. And even if maybe, per se, I cannot find any value in this world for these specialities, but with these specialities, in any circumstance and any environment, I can make myself productive and learn things. So this is my speciality as a soul. And the second thing is I am full of virtues. So I have qualities which are very important, and also with specialities, every soul has some or the other skills also. Yes, maybe I'm as a soul, I'm capable of many things. Maybe I have great concentration, I have great elocution, I have great analytical ability. All of these things are my internal specialities, the specialities that are there in my man, buddhi, sanskar. And then Baba says I have virtues, which are the 7 qualities, and then I'm full of powers. which Baba has given us. So Baba says that at any moment, what should determine your sense of self-worth is this spiritual self, which is full of specialities, virtues, and powers. And I'm Master Almighty. So whatever the Almighty has, because I'm His child, I also have those powers. Now the thing is, it is very difficult to determine if you don't honestly check whether my sense of self-worth comes from arrogance or it comes from my spiritual self-worth. So sometimes, when everything is okay, everything on the external or everything that is giving you that seat, so your seat of arrogance is not shaky. So when everything that is seating you on the seat of arrogance is going okay and fine, and there are no changes and disturbances, then sometimes you feel that this inner work of shifting your sense of self-worth from arrogance to self-respect is not important. Yes, so I gave you an example of 200 employees being in a position to make you feel insulted. But what if none of them dares to do that today? And everybody is very well behaved with me, and they are all, saying sir, sir, and boss, boss, and going in rounds around me, and they are very careful of their behavior around me, and everybody is treating me with a lot of regard. So in that scene, it is very difficult to even visualize that one day this can change. And sometimes when you have everything, maybe the external attainments or people around you who are good to you, or health or beauty or anything, then at that time it becomes very difficult to think that this can change. And the most important the most important tool of Maya is you take the ever changing for granted. So these things are ever changing. You see them changing in and around you so abruptly, but then you still take them for granted and you think that they can never change. But the thing is, they change suddenly, and everything that you are founding your sense of self-worth on can change suddenly. And I will share one story with you. When I started doing seva, I'm talking about some 10 years back, and so there was this lady who had come, and there were a group of matas, and they kind of persuaded that lady to come, motivated her to come to the center, and she was unwilling, and it took around 1 month for them to bring her to the center. And she was in acute depression and she couldn't talk. And when she came to the center, she just sat there, not talking, not sharing anything. And I told her that it's okay, and if you don't feel like sharing today, it's okay. You can just be here and just be in Baba's home, and whatever you feel, you may share, may not share. It's a good time. So then, slowly, gradually, she sat for half an hour, and then she started talking. And she had been in depression for so long and not talked to anyone. And when she started talking, she told me that my husband was the governor of a state, and we had a great life, and everything was just perfect. She said that there was no problem at all, because every day was like a party, and people were so good to us, and everything was the way anybody could ever imagine. And then my sons, they were like the best sons in the world, and they also treated us with a lot of love and regard, and everything was fine, and we lived in a house which was like a palace. And then suddenly my husband died. He had a heart attack and he died, and within minutes everything changed. She said that even my sons did not care to take care of me, and they also, and within 2 days I was shifted to a very small house. And in that house, so in the previous house there was so much of, people coming in. It was big, and there was a way of life, and suddenly I had nothing to do. I was in a small place, and there were no facilities, and nobody cared for me. And she said that I couldn't deal with that, and I'm still in shock. I don't know, after so many days I'm sharing this, but I'm still in great shock. So you look at the and this is one of my first experiences when I felt that, because we also learn while we are on this journey. So obviously, I had the knowledge that there is self-respect and there is arrogance, and we shouldn't found our life on arrogance. It has to shift. But maybe even I had not done that inner work until then, because when things are okay, you feel that how is it going to change suddenly? You cannot even foresee that change. But that was one of my first experiences which gave me a very deep realization that actually everything is so vulnerable. And it is not a good idea to run away from anything, because it is there until it's there, and then we have to play our part. But internally, you have to do this deep inner work of practicing that I'm a soul, and my asset is my virtue, my inner specialities, and my powers. And my relationship with Baba is what matters. So you have to practice this so deeply that it sits in my heart that this is what is important. And everything else is there, and good that it's there. We bless it to grow, but we know that it is ever changing. So this deep inner work has to be done while everything is okay, because when things change suddenly, and we are not powerful enough to deal with it, then that change can shatter us. But if we are holding on to the strong foundation inside, then even if there is a big storm outside, you can deal with it and you can make it good, because again, even if there is a storm outside, then you have to, after the storm passes, you have to again get to work and again bring it to the proper state. So Baba says you have to found your sense of worthiness on self-respect and not on arrogance. And if you are founding it on arrogance and external attainments and achievements, and it is a very internal thing, nobody else can tell you whether you are in self-respect or arrogance. And sometimes people will say that this person is very humble, but even external humility, so maybe I'm very polite to the other, or maybe I say sorry and please and in the right places, but that doesn't mean that I am not founding my sense of self-worth on arrogance. And if you're doing that, then you're very, very vulnerable. So Baba says that it is a very internal realization that we need to have, and we need to check for it and change it and just shift. So everything on the outside will stay the same, but just shift your sense of self-worth from the having and the doing to the being. And this is why practicing soul consciousness in the remembrance of Baba is very, very important. So this is one thing that Baba tells us today. And then Baba is telling us the meaning of, who is a benefactor. So Baba has told us that I am Kalyankari, I bring benefit to everybody, and so should you. Yes, so we are also Master Kalyankari, so we are also benefactor souls. But Baba says that, we are, so there is this thing called Mansa Seva, which is serving through the mind, serving through good wishes. And most of the times, Brahmins would say that we do Mansa Seva. Yes, we serve with our good wishes through the mind. But today Baba is highlighting something which is very important. Baba says that if you have not forgiven everyone, so if you have not forgiven all souls, if you are holding somebody's karma, something that somebody did and you had taken hurt, and you are holding that inside, then your heart cannot absorb Baba's love. So that hurt that you're holding, or maybe that hurt has changed into anger, or maybe that hurt has changed into fear. So do you know that when you take sorrow, when you take hurt, then that hurt sometimes stays in our heart as hurt, and if you just allow it to stay longer, it changes into anger. And if you still allow it to stay longer than that, then it changes into fear. Yes, so sometimes we take a hurt, so somebody does something and you take hurt from that, and then you don't let go of it. So what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is letting go, not holding it in your heart. But if you haven't let go, then that hurt that you have taken is there in your heart in some or the other form. Maybe in the form of hurt, maybe in the form of anger, maybe in the form of fear. But if it is so, then you haven't cleansed your heart. Then with that heart, you cannot have blessings and good wishes for others. So you have only one heart, and if that heart is tainted, then you cannot be a benefactor. Even your heart can't give good wishes and blessings to anybody. So if you have not let go of that, and for that particular soul, if you cannot give good wishes and blessings, then you cannot give it to others also. And it is very important to check whether I am holding something about someone in my heart, and to let go of that. And how do you do that? So you have to remember Baba so much that Baba's love finds place in your heart, and that love replaces all of that other emotions, because negative emotions, negative feelings can only be replaced by elevated, powerful ones. And when you remember Baba very much, when you remember Baba with your heart, and you spend a lot of time remembering Baba every day, then Baba is the ocean of love, Baba is the ocean of joy, Baba is the ocean of peace, purity. And when these things start entering your heart, then your heart is able to, let go of the other stuff which it is holding. And Baba says, until you do that work, you are not. So, sometimes we are trying to donate from a heart which is full of, bitterness and hurt and anger and fear. So, when you start to donate, what will you donate? You will donate that which is in your heart. So when you're doing Mansa Seva, how can you give benefit to others if your heart is not full of the powerful stuff? So Baba says, if you're holding on to the negative, then your heart cannot be full of Baba's love, and you cannot donate to anybody good wishes. So this is very important to understand, because sometimes we don't understand that we keep doing both the things. We keep holding on to bitter feelings and negative thoughts for someone, and we think that with the same heart we can bless others. That's not going to happen. So this is also something very important. And then Baba today is underlining that in this practice of Raj Yoga, as Raj Yogis, we do not run away from households. Yes, we don't run away from anything. And Baba uses an example, and you can read the Murli and understand in what context Baba is talking. But what Baba is saying is, if a sannyasi has run away from home and he has left, even if he is a Bal Brahmachari who is celibate from birth, so even in that case, if he has left the parents behind, run away from the parents, or if he was a married person and he ran away from the wife, so that sannyasi cannot be a Raj Yogi. So if he wants to come to Baba, then he has to first go back home and go back to his parents or his wife, and from there he has to start his journey of a Raj Yogi. And it is very important that we understand that in Raj Yoga is not a path of escapism. So it's not like you don't like someone and you run away from them and live in the center. That's not how it works. Because you see, in psychology these days, there is a lot of talk of closure. And people say that in any relationship where there has been a bitter exchange, there is a need for closure. And what is closure? Let's understand that. Closure doesn't mean that we will be on the same page and agree to everything, and there'll be love and there'll be very good feelings about each other. That is not closure. That is not closure. And in most relationships, that place may not be able to be attained. But when we talk about closure, what is closure? So, one thing is, when I as a Brahmin want closure, I have to take it from my sustenance from Baba, right? So, when I want a closure, I have to fill my heart with love from Baba and stop my emotional fluctuation. So, if I have expectations from somebody, I am pining for somebody's love, I have not received attention, and I am very hurt because of that. So, all that, if you go and beg and cry and do anything before that person, that's not going to give you peace and closure. So, for your own well being, you have to understand the Gyan and remember Baba and fill your heart with Baba's knowledge, virtues, and powers, and come to a place of emotional well being. So, that is something that you have to do for yourself. But what about the other soul? So, sometimes you ran away and you took Baba's support and you took all the strength and sustenance from Baba, and you are in a place where you are okay. Yes, so you're pretty okay. But that doesn't mean that the karmic settlement is over. Maybe in many cases what happens is, you did your inner work and you're fine, but the other soul is very agitated and they are struggling with their emotions because you ran away. You did not give them an opportunity to vent out. You did not stay there. You were not there. So, when you want to finish the karmic account, even if you took some time to get your sanity and get to a place where you are okay within yourself and your wounds are healed and you are now in a good place, then what you need to do is you give that soul an opportunity to vent out, and you are strong enough to handle that. And even if the soul has certain complaints, or they want to shout at you, they want to cry, they want to do whatever they want to do, or there is something that really needs to be done in that case. For example, there are old and ailing parents and they are very unhappy with the fact that you abandoned them and you are not taking care of their physical needs. So, one thing you have to be clear is, you cannot make someone happy. So, giving someone happiness, that you cannot do. But be available. So, when you are available and when you know that when somebody needs something badly physically, like they need medical care, they need attention, physical attention, then that has to be given. So that is a karmic responsibility you have to take care. And then there are other stuff like just being available so that they can speak whatever they want. And even if there is no response to it, that speaking and that sharing will give them closure. Yes, so they are able to tell you, they are able to, even if they want to blame you for something, you just maintain a benevolent attitude and you are able to listen to them. That's important. And Baba says, running away will not help. And on this path, you cannot run away and not have closure. Because if that closure has not happened, then that soul will keep pulling you. That soul will keep thinking about you and sending vibrations to you. Now, in this whole context, I want to give you a cautionary note also. because you have to make a distinction between the other soul's need and expectation. Yes, so there are some things which are called needs. So, medical attention is a need. Yes, somebody is not well, so medical attention is a need, food is a need, basic clothing is a need. But if a person is expecting, there are sometimes, even in the case of parents and children, if a child is on the path of, seva and belonging to Baba, and the parent is expecting that I have, this child should give me 30,000-40,000 a month, whereas their need is just 5,000 a month, or they just need 10,000 a month, but they are expecting that you give 30,000-40,000 a month. So that's not your duty. So fulfilling their need. So if a soul is there is a relationship and that soul is really needy, so there is a need for basic clothing, food, medicines, that's a need, and you have to take care of the need if you can. But fulfilling somebody's expectation is creation of a new account rather than settling of an old one. So if you are not very careful, what you would do is, instead of settling the old account, because you are body conscious and you are in attachment, you might even start creating a new account by falling into the trap of their expectations. So you need closure. And then the second thing is, you can also fall into this trap if you start thinking that making someone happy is your duty. No. If somebody is complaining a lot, listening to that complaint and being compassionate is your duty. Yes, and there will be a point where you know that this much of listening was important and enough, and listening further is also not necessary. Yes, so if you have never given somebody an opportunity, giving them an opportunity to talk to you and tell you whatever they think is important, but prolonging that and then going into guilt and then thinking that I should make them happy and they should give me a certificate that I'm good, up to that if you take it, then it is your attachment and your vice has started working, and instead of settling an old account, you are creating a new one. So we have to be very clear about where are the lines, because if you don't do it right, then you might end up damaging the situation more than settling it. So when Baba says it is time for settlement, settlement needs a lot of accuracy and wisdom. And if you're doing it from an emotional place, then that emotional place can even make you increase the karmic account rather than settle it. Okay, so identify the needs, identify your responsibilities. Do not go into the trap of their expectations or their, what they think are their needs. Don't go into that trap. Very knowledgefully you have to gauge, what is it that you need to do in this case. Okay, Om Shanti.